Hi folks, I'm Hank, and on this episode of the Northwest Forager, we'll be exploring the high desert of eastern Oregon in search of morel mushrooms and wild onion. Along the way, we get to see isolated mountain lakes, icy waterfalls, and a rare orchid, all found in the sub-alpine landscape. Later in the video, we'll eat and talk about our forage. If this all sounds interesting to you, stick around. My first hike on this trip takes me to an area I've yet to find any morels. I know by rights they would grow at this location, but would my timing be correct? Was the soil going to be warm enough? If so, did someone already pick them all? 2 weeks prior to filming this video, I had the joy of going on a morel hunt in the Blue Mountains, and we found a bounty large enough to complement our dinner. I'll share a little secret with you. Foraging in Oregon's high desert mountains is like getting a second chance at the spring rush. That's because at elevations over 7,000 feet, springtime has just begun in June. Meanwhile, in the Willamette Valley, we're already knocking on summer's door. This hike took me close to 8,000 feet. High enough, it had even frosted the morning of. Off camera, I took a soil temperature reading. It was 37 degrees at 3 inches. As a general rule, morels don't like to fruit until soil temps reach 53 degrees. So far, it wasn't looking too good for my initial hunt. But then, this happened. Hey guys, I found a pretty site for some sore eyes right here. Now you might think that finding a morel so early in the hike would be such a great thing. And I'm not complaining, but in some ways, finding a single morel can actually be the worst thing for your morale. Here's why. Because for the next few hours, my hopeful eye scoured every inch along the trail with no further sightings. Thankfully, I had a second goal to this second chance spring hunt. Because even if my timing for morels was off, I knew this mountain terrain had more to offer. So cold that the water is still frozen in the shade. Continuing my way up the trail, crossing a small stream, a glimmer of hope. Looking like blades of grass, I was intrigued. Examining a piece which had been kicked off by a hiker, I confirmed my suspicion with the sniff test. I had found wild onion. Now you may or may not know this, but in the Midwest there's a wild leek called ramps, and it's the sought-after allium in spring, prized for its large leafy greens and tender bulbs. Now even if we're missing out on those prospects, it doesn't quite make me jealous, because in the Pacific Northwest, it's quite possible that we have at least a few tasty wild onions that would give ramps a run for its money. Did you know There are over 40 documented unique species of wild allium in Oregon alone. Allium is the genus of all true onions, garlic, chives, scallion, leeks, and shallot. All true allium plants are considered edible, although many wild alliums are not worthwhile as a food. In many cases, the food value is lacking, either due to being too fibrous or too bitter. In some cases, they may even upset your stomach. Remember that time you ate too much garlic? Sulfur-based compounds give alliums their signature flavor and aroma. These compounds, in addition to high inulin, are the very reason why alliums can really upset your stomach if you eat too much. On that note, the genuine danger really comes from mistaking death camas for an allium, which the two often grow in similar habitats. Death camas even has a similar looking bulb and plant structure. Unlike true alliums, however, death camas does not have any sulfur-based compounds, and it will never, ever smell like an onion or garlic. Secondly, all true allium flowers are in the shape of an umbel, an umbrella-like structure. Death camas flowers are arranged alternately on a spike. Best practice is to always verify any gathering of wild onions by following the flower to the plant and plant to bulb. Crush any part of the plant and sniff. There should be no mistake it's an allium. This practice is most important when digging up clusters of bulbs, especially in areas where death camas is known to grow. What I had initially thought was the discovery of nodding onion was soon turned on its head once I had taken a closer look. These onions loved growing in consistently wet soil, along streams, in seeps, and even a boggy lake meadow where they were found in abundance. Examining its structure revealed that this plant didn't grow from a true bulb. While some literature describes nodding onion as having a sort of rhizome, nothing quite matched what I was seeing. Other than that, nodding onion is described as a plant that doesn't like having consistently wet feet. This onion had some very specific features: a dense, fibrous rhizome, a long, narrow, bulb-like stem with a bright red base, garlic-like leaf blades, and no nodding inflorescence. Using OregonFlora.org to search out which onions have been spotted and documented in this location, I was able to determine, with a little further research, that I was looking at the swamp onion, aka Pacific mountain onion. Now wait a minute. Swamp? Mountain? Duh! Even though my initial expectations were wrong, I was not at all disappointed in this discovery. This onion was at its prime stage for its savory tender greens, and imagining just how well this would pair with morels, I was ever more determined to create this dish. After a much-needed coffee break, I reorganized a new morel hunt, because my suspicion was that I was still too early at these higher elevations. The plan now was to search again a few thousand feet lower. With the plan set, I clipped a handful of onion greens for the road, and back down the trail I went. This second hike was roughly 4,500 feet in elevation. I no more than left my car and cut through a campsite when I immediately spotted one. Then another. And another. More still. Guys, my mountain morel onion dish dream was becoming a reality. Even with just a handful of morels, it was all going to be worth it. So, with time to kill, I decided to fall around the lake to take in the sights. It was so peaceful. Not another person in sight. For a moment, I could feel like the only person on Earth. Places like this really makes a person think. Such beauty will never be realized on a screen. such serenity, the kind that heals. It's these moments where I feel so inspired and yet so incredibly sad. To think of how far removed from nature we've become as a species. How quickly life passes by. How we shut ourselves into decorated boxes, sitting on plastic couches and wearing plastic clothing, staring at a screen about places like this and caring about things because people are telling us to. It's funny where a person's thoughts go, or perhaps where our thoughts should always be. If only we weren't pacified so effectively. Friends, viewers, get outside, somewhere new. Make it your moment, because every moment is your slice of space-time that can and will only be occupied by you, ever. Let that sink. Nearing the end of this hike, I was treated with one of our native orchids. It's called the mountain lady slipper orchid, and it's currently on the Oregon watch list for conservation concerns. Between habitat loss and overharvesting, it's becoming harder and harder to find. Many well-intentioned enthusiasts have inadvertently killed these plants by transplanting them for protective purposes. They do not transplant and will die within the first year or two of doing so. On a different note, the punctuality of their blooms is remarkable to me. This photo was taken a few years back and shows an open bloom just 1 week later in June. The timing lines up well, considering this current blossom will likely look just like the one in the photo in about a week. Leaving the mountains on my way home, it was clear. This second chance spring was in full force, with so many plants and wildflowers having edible potential. I could have easily spent many days discovering, identifying, and documenting. But at last, the road was calling, and homeward bound, I went. Oh, that's smelling good. That is smelling so good. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt on this. It's gonna be so good. These are almost ready. And we're gonna sit down and enjoy it. Unless you've tried this before, it's hard to put into words just how tasty it is compared to any mushroom you've had before. The texture is really meaty and chewy, but not rubbery. It has that mouth feel as you would like almost a steak. And the flavor is just so savory. And it really absorbed all the onion really well. That little dash of salt, such a delicious meal. Oh wow, a mouthful of that onion. It just absorbed that butter and salt with a hint of garlic. It's so good. Wow. That is so flavorful. It's so good that the only way you can actually truly appreciate it is to try it yourself. I'm really thankful I found just enough morels to get this small meal. They could serve this at a gourmet restaurant. I'm convinced it's that good. Thank you so much for watching. please hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, if you want to watch more videos like this. And as always, happy foraging.